All right, well, Mr. Irsay, thanks for taking some time with us here today. And earlier you had a chance to sit down with some local media, and you began talking about Tony Dungy and how it was 2002 where he was fired by the Buccaneers, and you were able to bring him in and hire him. And later on, you were talking about Matt Ryan and what great fortune it is to be able to get him. Is there something to an organization that's fourth in wins since 2000, creating their own good fortune, being in a position to take advantage when a Tony Dungy or a Matt Ryan becomes available?
I think no question. On the surface, some people could say it's just happenstance or you're just lucky, and it's not that way. I find, and that's what, Chris Ballard did and Frank did, is, grinding every day. You're in a dark tunnel. You can't see the end of it. Boy, this seems fruitless. Where's this thing go? And you're grinding every day, and then all of a sudden you get some daylight in there, and one thing connects to another, and this magical fabric has been created by the football gods and presented to you because you work so hard, you're open-minded, you kept your oars, in as many ponds as you could, and you did everything possible to create that. And you have to have good fortune, but it usually comes your way. It's just a question of when, not if. And so I think it's a real credit there because, I know how much particularly Chris Ballard really dug in there now. And was on that phone and with many, many teams, talking to many an agent, many a team. And so, just couldn't be more pleased because, sitting in the office with Coach and Chris after the game, Sunday night, the Jacksonville game, I don't think we could imagine this outcome, but that's a great thing about the National Football League is, that you have great opportunity. And in this case, again, a number of things had to happen. Atlanta, really, trying to go after Watson and not succeeding in the end. And so Matt kind of felt, I think, okay, so I guess it is time for me to move on, even though they're probably moving away from it anyway. But it just wasn't even clear. You couldn't, go into this offseason and say, well, Matt Ryan's available, and you certainly couldn't predict, if you decided to trade Carson, if you could get anything at all, and so it was a real blessing, a real positive thing for Colts fans. I don't think I can emphasize, the positive because we could, be sitting here with a much different scenario right now. So we couldn't be more excited.
The addition of Reggie Wayne to the coaching staff, you're adding someone who's in the Ring of Honor, who Tarek Glenn will join in the Ring of Honor later on this year. To get his expertise and his presence back in the building, what does that mean to the team?
It means a lot. I've seen other organizations and you see great alumni players, sometimes Hall of Fame, where they're coaching now. And a guy like Reggie Wayne brings so much. Trust me, I've watched games with him. He is so smart, incredible vision and understanding of the game, incredible. And also his work ethic, his expectation, how he understands, the mental and the physical toughness, what it takes. He brings all those components to a young man that comes into us who might be 21 years old, and now he's got Reggie Wayne there to say, let me help you get your game up to where mine was. And so, boy, he has an outstanding chance to make a big difference for us because that's how you have the great success. It's not one thing. Of course, when we had the great successes of the 2000s and, Peyton Manning, of course Peyton Manning, but many other things had to be right. Peyton Manning was completely right. In 2001, we only won 6 games. It takes a lot and key coaches that can inspire and lead and also have great, knowledge of the game like Reggie has. It's a tremendous addition.
When you think about, the addition of Reggie Wayne, some of the changes on the coaching staff, some of the changes in players, Do all those things tell you that that meeting you had with Chris and Frank at the end of the year, that things are turning back in the right direction for the franchise?
No question. I think it goes a little underrated because sometimes you don't put together the whole aspect of this offseason, so to speak, with, key player extensions that are great multiple Pro Bowl players and also signing of some key free agents, that are going to help us as well, and signing our own free agents. And of course, the trades, at quarterback, it's really been an exciting offseason. I think it's going to prove to be something that's incredibly significant when we look back to this offseason, because, again, you just didn't know what kind of opportunity was going to be there when you sat there in late January. But Chris and Frank went to work and looked under every stone, and we were just blessed to have these outcomes. And I really feel excited about this football team. I mean, I believe it can win a world championship. There's no doubt in my mind. I have, big belief in Matt Ryan. And I'm not being out on some limb or some, seer trying to say that, because of course you have big belief in Matt Ryan, because he's Matt Ryan, and you know what he's done. You know the history that he's had in the game. He's just 36, turning 37, and that's just fine at that position, coming in for a couple of years at least. And he keeps himself in great shape, and he couldn't be more excited. What people forget too is, that move, just regenerates him and rejuvenates him. Matt's so excited about being in Indianapolis, and he understands the great legacy at quarterback, from Unitas to Burt Jones to Jim Harbaugh to Peyton to Andrew, and so he couldn't be more excited, and I know our fans are going to love him, and I know he's the type of guy. Again, when I say all chips in, what I mean by that is all the key players and coaches we have are committed with every cell in their body, to win the football game and reach for greatness, with the franchise. And that goes for Reggie Wayne, goes for Matt Ryan. Those are all chips in guys. I mean, that's what you need. You want the Ray Lewises and the Ronnie Lotts and the Walter Paytons. I mean, there's not a lot of them around. But those are the guys that make the difference, and that's what all chips in means. It's a mentality, where you come into the building, come onto the field ready to compete and ready to win at all costs. And so, I think that's such an important component, because people saw last year how close we were. They saw things we did, how outstanding we played, and the teams we beat, and it was just that inconsistency that drove you crazy, and of course the collapse at the end. But there was a lot of great moments, and we were very close. So that goes to speak, to the whole aspect of the franchise and the talent we have at many other positions going forward.
You mentioned the all chips in mentality, and when you said that, it took me to Matt Ryan. He's 7th most all time in game-winning drives, and that seems like that is kind of the culmination of that mentality, that effort and doing whatever it takes to win. It's literally right there.
No question. I mean that's really what it's about, and not everyone has that. I mean, the Peyton Mannings, the Matt Ryans, the Tom Brady. I mean, these guys would have been Navy SEALs. They would have been astronauts if they weren't doing what they're doing. They're special guys, and of course they're given a special talent, and they're 6'5", and they're 230 pounds or whatever. But put that aside, it takes way more than that, and they have, as the movie says, all the right stuff. And you're looking for that guy, and you have to have him at quarterback because it affects your whole roster in terms of leadership and everything else. So couldn't be more excited, because he's a guy, who's been incredible under pressure and who's delivered at the toughest moments. And I just think this is kind of that perfect that marriage that can happen where Matt goes and gets his Super Bowl ring and wins that Lombardi with us. And I really firmly believe it. We have to prove it. There's no question about it. And that's what we're aiming to do. But boy, I tell you, just talking to Frank Reich last night here in Florida and Chris, I mean, they are excited to have him. I mean, you can just, it's just, you can just tell. I mean, wow. I mean, they are like, wow. I mean, just obviously, Frank Reich in particular, have been one of his coaches. I mean, just really, really excited and has reason to be. So we can't wait to get it going. We had the most takeaways as a defense. We had the greatest rusher by almost 400 yards in Jonathan Taylor, who's only 22 years old. We have a great offensive line with some, 3 Pro Bowlers there. Quentin's so dominant, and we like what we've done on defense, and the addition of free agency along with the 2 young guys, Quiddy and Dial getting older in their second year. We really like the type of defense that we're bringing to the table, and we there could be, it would have to be at the right price because we don't have much cap room. In addition, that excites some. But we'll see. It's possible. I know Chris Ballard's looking hard at that. Trying to find the right, individual, but it has to be the right guy at the right number. But one more veteran possibly to come in and make a big difference.
Last one for you, and it's a non-football question, but the Jim Irsay Collection and being able to tour around the country and share these pieces of American history and Americana with people, to be able to play in a band with, someone from ZZ Top like you did recently. How rewarding is that to be able to kind of share the fabric of this country with so many people around the country?
Well, it's really rewarding, and again, it's a labor of love. This collection has been put together by my eyes and my hand and my heart over the last 25 years, and it works as a fabric, as a painting, as an artistic collection that complements each other. A lot of sports in there too. People forget Muhammad Ali's shoes from the Thrilla Manila, his boxing gloves in a great championship fight during the 60s in London. His first robe he ever put on that said Ali. Jackie Robinson's bat that he hit home runs in the World Series with. It's just, a baseball sign by both Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. There's many, many, many things. But of course, there's tons of music. There's tons of Americana things. Abraham Lincoln's pocket knife and his cane and a copy of the Constitution. And so it's really a lot of fun because the shows are incredible. We have a great time. I play with the band a little bit, but the band's mainly driven by these tremendous, famous professionals. Mike Mills was in REM. Kenny Aronoff and is probably the best drummer alive as a studio drummer, was in John Mellencamp's band, and Mike Wanchek from John Mellencamp's band as a music director, and Kenny Wayne Shepherd. And, we have special guests like Billy Gibbons. It was just such a thrill. Billy's such a great gentleman, and what a talent, what a player, and it's great to see guys like him in his early 70s that just is still so young and vibrant and doing it. I mean, he is a true American treasure, and he's more than that even in Texas, and so it was a lot of fun. It was a real pleasure working with them. When you do rehearsals like the night before at the El Rey we did in LA and West Hollywood, there's a lot of fun there because you have a chance to try some songs you haven't done and just interact with people like Billy Gibbons. And it was truly, I tell you, when the show's going on, it's been a great show up to that point, and he starts the beginning of LaGrange, you're just like, my God, I've heard this song, 10,000 times on the radio. I was, 13, 14 years old when it came out in 1973, but that beginning of it's so iconic, and to see him performing so well, just like, the Eagles are performing so well now. Joe Walsh is a good friend, and those guys are amazing for their mid-70s. And so it's great to see, when you lose the Tom Pettys and the Princes and, people too young. We just lost the Foo Fighters drummer. I mean, just very sad. And it's great to see someone like Billy at his age, still doing it, because he's just, such an iconic legend. And it was just a thrill. And of course, the guitar collection, it's the best in the world, and it's growing. Now pianos with Elton John's piano and John Lennon. So it's really a thrill. And like I say, I feel like I borrow all the stuff and share it to the public, get it into the public eye. We're going to be coming to Indianapolis. We're looking to be doing a show there, before the season starts. And it's exciting. We're trying to figure out a way to, have a VIP section, but then open it up to the public, maybe at Lucas Oil Stadium. So we don't have details yet, but, and then bring the, traveling museum there. We don't bring all the pieces there, of course, but so, we're really obviously so excited about, doing Indy is the dream, for me and everyone, because that's home turf. And I think we're going to do Chicago too, where I grew up, just down the road. So it's been awesome. And I think, you develop a lot of thoughts about, how this museum travels so well. It was first like, we got to build a museum somewhere. We got to build it somewhere. And then now, I take a second step back and go, you know what? As a traveling museum, though, you could have it a year in this city, a year in this. You may not be able to put all of it together because it's an enormous amount of stuff. But it's a lot of fun. It's grown to be enormous, and I have to check what we have sometime. I looked it up. I didn't know I had that. Because you collected so much through the years. It's amazing, and we have all sorts of off the beat stuff too. Like we have a Buffalo Bills autograph from like 1870, and a picture of him slaying a buffalo. I was like, who has Buffalo Bills autograph? It's like unbelievable. But I love those type of things. Those things are so cool. Some of the, like I always say, the one thing I missed out on was Wilson, the volleyball from, Castaway, because like I was easily bidding down it. It only went for $18,000, and somehow I passed on it. And that's where I learned I never pass again. It's like, and it's like, how could you pass on that? On Wilson, and so some, like any collector, some get away, but it's been a lot of fun, and we can't wait to bring it to Indy, for our fans to see, and hopefully right at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. Thanks so much for the time today, Mr. Irsay.
Thank you.